Hey guys, this is Terrence Thomas, and in this video I'm going to share with you 5 very important concepts, techniques, and strategies that I use when designing my exercise, fitness, sports performance programs, you name it. So the first concept that I want to share with you is the concept of infant development. Now, there are certain skills, reflexes, and processes that have to happen within the human body in order for us to be able to move and function correctly when we're born up until about the age of 1. Now, if these skills are disrupted for any reason, whether they failed to develop or you had an injury later in life that disrupted the skill, it's going to set you up for some major problems. One of them obviously being injured, or it can have even deeper seated problems such as organ problems, such as hormone problems, even emotional and neurodevelopmental problems. So by making sure that you can perform very specific infant development skills, it will clear the runway for you to be able to then evolve into more advanced movement, advanced physical skills without the risk of injury, and being able to do that within an integrated concept. So infant development essentially integrates your mind with your body, to make a long story short. And the more your body is integrated with your mind in terms of movement, it's going to bode well with you being able to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. So the second thing I want to talk about is the concept of corrective stretching. Now, flexibility is much more than just you being able to bend forward and just showing how limber you are. Corrective stretching is an idea that balances the musculoskeletal system in a way that produces ideal posture and again produces ideal movement. So it's not about how flexible you are, it's about the balance that you keep within the musculoskeletal system. Liken corrective stretching to tuning a guitar. You can turn the string as tight as you want or as loose as you want, but the key is not about the tension or the looseness. It's about getting it at the right tension to get the note that you're looking for on each string. So that's essentially what corrective stretching is. And this technique and concept is very important when trying to control pain, when trying to maximize performance, and even when you're trying to maximize aesthetics. Case in point, your muscles and your metabolism work hand in hand. The more metabolically active your muscles are, the higher your metabolism is. If a muscle is not in tune, the metabolism within that muscle is not going to be optimized. It may be too low, which means the muscle may be flabby and loose, or it may be too tight, which means that the muscle will be overactive and you'll get too much waste products and you'll get spasms and the muscle will hurt. So again, it's not about being in either extreme, it's about really having balance. So that's the concept of corrective stretching. So the next concept I want to talk about is this concept of core conditioning. Now I know core is a huge buzzword now in the industry. And as a Czech practitioner and a holistic lifestyle coach and as someone who has trained in advanced biomechanics and kinesiology, I can tell you that I may have a bit of a different perspective on what you know as core conditioning. Now I'm going to assume that most people, when they think of core, they think of the abs or anything that's related to abdominal function and maybe even some type of balance challenge where you're having to use your core. Just because you're on one leg or having a balance challenge, you may think you're working your core. But let me take you further down the rabbit hole of this whole idea of core conditioning. So my idea of core conditioning is this. The primary function of the core is to dissipate forces away from the spine. That is the core's most important job, is to protect your spine and secondly your organs. If your core is not functioning properly, all the forces that would normally go away from your spine goes right into your spine and it rattles your brain. So as a therapist, I can pretty much tell the function of someone's core just by taking my fingers and touching right behind their neck. Because the neck and the suboccipital area is the gatekeeper, it's the report card of what your entire core functioning is doing. For example, every time your foot strikes the ground, that force comes from the ground all the way up through your body. So if your core isn't working properly and that force is not being properly dissipated throughout the system, all of the force gets driven right up to the back of your neck here. And that causes spasms and all types of trigger points and headaches and all kinds of crazy things that people come to me to try to get fixed. So all I have to do is take my little fingers and stick them right into your area, your neck there, and it'll tell me the whole story, because that area doesn't lie. So if the core is working properly, forces will be properly dissipated. So your core conditioning program needs to be designed in a way that accomplishes this goal. Now, this core conditioning program is going to be different for everyone because everyone is different. Everyone's current level of strength and conditioning is different, so you must first qualify your level of skill and coordination and the strength and conditioning, and then you can make the next thing and design the right program for the individual. So that's my 5-minute PhD on core conditioning. If your core programs aren't accomplishing what I just mentioned, you may want to rethink that. How do you know that it's accomplishing it? You don't have any back pain, you don't have any musculoskeletal pathologies like back spasms or chronic neck or anything like that. So if your system's working fine, but you're exercising intensely or you're moving around fine, then you're probably somewhere in the ballpark. But if you're having chronic low back pain, or your neck's constantly going out, or you've got a shoulder issue, all of those things are indicative of that. This primary core system needs to be retuned. So that's core conditioning. So the next concept that I want to talk about is called scientific strength training. Strength is more than just about moving heavy objects. It's about, yes, moving heavy objects and generating force, but doing it in a way that's therapeutic to the system. You hear that? Therapeutic to the system. Just because you're lifting heavy weight doesn't necessarily make it destructive. So this means that you not only have to choose the right intensity, you have to choose the right movement to produce a therapeutic effect in the system. Case in point, if you're someone who's trying to improve their squat pattern, but you lack the mobility and skill to execute a squat pattern effectively, then I wouldn't have you do a squat pattern with a barbell on your back, because that would not be a therapeutic movement. I would have to modify the drill or modify the pattern to a way that you can actually benefit and not injure yourself. So there's some other intricate biomechanical things that go into scientific strength training, but that is the key. Picking the right movement for your current level of skill and your ability to generate force without getting hurt. And the next thing I want to talk about is what we call primal pattern development. This is a system that was developed by my mentor, Paul Chek, founder of the Chek Institute. I don't care what you say, he was the first person to really coin this term, primal pattern. You hear this word now becoming more popular with the primal diets and the primal move and things like that. But as far as I know, he was the first person to bring this idea of primal pattern into form. And his definition of primal pattern is this. If you were a caveman, or if you lived in the wild, there were 7 movements that you had to be able to perform in order to survive in the wild. So he coined these movements primal. And these primal movements are squatting, lunge, bend, push, pull, and twist. And the 7th pattern is gait, which consists of 3 forms: walking, jogging, and flat-out sprinting. So when designing strength training programs, I take into consideration your current skill in all of these primal patterns, and then I determine if you're at baseline or below baseline or above baseline. If you're below baseline, we go into what we call a corrective mode, where we build you back up to baseline, and then once you get to baseline, we can start to advance you into more advanced primal pattern skills. But again, the key factor in all of this is first understanding where you fall. I'm not going to take someone who's below baseline and give them an advanced drill, because it's going to hurt them and it's not going to produce the results that they're looking for. It's all about doing the right movement at the right time according to your current level of ability and skill and even stress levels. So those are the key concepts, and the overarching concept that's applied to all of these smaller concepts is this. It's advanced biomechanics and advanced kinesiology. It's one thing to teach an exercise, but it's another thing to look at a client or patient and understand their unique biomechanical and kinesiological problems to where you can actually get inside that client's body, make the adjustments, and just create this totally aha experience and be like, wow, here's what you're doing now. This is what it should look like. This is what it should feel like. Try it now. This is I think one of the hallmark differences in the way I design programs and the way people who are trained like me design programs. It's about our experience with the body and being able to make these adjustments that 99% of exercise professionals actually miss. So I hope you've gained a little bit more insight in terms of the modus operandi that goes into designing programs, and I look forward to helping you get into your best shape ever. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and contact me at my website, physicalexcellence.org, and I look forward to helping you get into your best shape ever. Take care.